Hey guys, it's Chris, and in today's video, I'm talking about The Spider, a horror Spider-Man fan film. Let's get into it! The Spider was written and directed by Andy Chen. He wanted to make a horror Spider-Man fan film, and he succeeded in that aspect. The Spider stars Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead. Carl! The fan film was distributed by Locust Garden Pictures. The fan film has nothing to do with Sony's Spider-Man or the MCU. It's kind of just its own thing. The Spider is a non-profit fan film. So Andy Chen, when he directed it and wrote it, he didn't plan on making any money off this. It's non-profit. They call it a fan film, but I consider it more of like a short because it's like 9 minutes, but fan film nonetheless. The Spider is now available to watch on YouTube. And just like The Spider Within, a Spider-Verse story, it's free on YouTube, and The Spider is the same way. Peter Parker is on a field trip when he's bitten by a radioactive spider. Peter sees the bite, and we get all these fast cuts. Title card, The Spider. And I actually really like this title card. It's simple but effective. Definitely doesn't look like a fan film title card. It actually looks like a pretty good title card for a fan film. Peter is hit by a car with 2 muggers inside, and he's laying on the ground, and he gets up, and one of the muggers trying to go get in, like essentially rob him, get into his wallet, and Peter grabs his hand, and it like starts sticking to him, and he peels it away, and it literally peels his skin right off one of the muggers' hands. Because this is a horror fan film, there is blood. So that would happen if Spider-Man sticking to all the walls and sticking to stuff, he actually stuck it to some flesh. It would literally just peel away your skin. Ugh. The mugger screams in pain, and then it cuts right to the next scene. This horror fan film definitely does that a lot. It's going to be one scene, and then it just cuts to the next scene. There's not really no ending to each one of the scene. It kind of just, it's an abrupt ending. It kind of just goes to the next scene. But, you know, I kind of can look past that. It is a fan film. Peter returns home. Spider-Man standard sticks to everything ensues. He's looking at the bite, it's getting all infected, and you know, he grabs a washcloth, essentially, sticks to it, takes off his hoodie, and then he sticks to his hoodie, and he's trying to get his hoodie off, and then he puts his hand on the wall, trying to get his hoodie off, and then he's like, oh crap, I'm stuck to the wall. This is when he actually learns that he can climb walls. So Peter climbs up to the rooftop, and he's just running on top of the rooftops, doing a flip over one of them, doing a couple flips. Peter is elated by his new power. He's like, damn, dude, I can climb walls. I can stick to stuff. Cool. Peter returns to his room, and he starts to puke. He's just sitting there, pukes. Pukes a little bit all over his bed, pukes into his trash bin. And after he's done puking, he looks over and he sees a tooth on his bed. He literally just puked up a tooth. Stands up, looks in the mirror, reaches into his mouth. Blood just starts dripping from his mouth. Peter passes out. G Fuel break. Peter wakes up in school and is still feeling sick. And this is where we get the Gwen Stacy cameo. Now, this actor in the credits is credited as Gwen Stacy. I mean, it's not by any famous actor or anything, but in this universe, at least they acknowledge Gwen Stacy. Peter wakes up again, this time in an ambulance. He feels worse than before. And the paramedics are like freaking out because he's like just shaking and all these fast cuts. And then Peter starts to grow a spider leg out of his chest. Literally comes right out, stabs right through it, and blood squirts onto the screen, and then it cuts. Goes on to the next scene. The paramedics are killed off screen, and the ambulance is covered in spider webs. Now, we don't actually learn this until the end of the fan film. When Aunt May is returning home, you can hear on the news that 2 paramedics were killed in an ambulance, and the ambulance was covered in spider webs. Peter sneaks into his room undetected from Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben goes to check on Peter, and this is where we get a reference to the Great Responsibility speech. I mean, he doesn't say the whole speech, but he's like, come on, Peter, what did we say about responsibility? It's like, yeah, that's definitely a reference to that speech that Peter Parker and Uncle Ben have about with great power comes great responsibility. So I do like that reference to Uncle Ben's iconic speech. Uncle Ben enters Peter's room, and when he enters, he's horrified by what he sees. Aunt May returns home and finds Peter eating Uncle Ben. Peter has transformed into the man spider. He's got pus all over his face. He's got like 4 to 5 eyes all over his face. He's got the spider fangs. It's pretty grotesque makeup. You're probably thinking, what is man spider? Well, man spider is a mutated form of Spider-Man. He's appeared in the comic books and in the Spider-Man, the animated series from the 90s. He even appeared in Ultimate Spider-Man, the animated Spider-Man show voiced by Drake Bell. It's not like an idea that they just made up for this horror Spider-Man fan film. No, Man Spider came from the comic books. The Spider is a solid, horror-inspired fan film. Chandler Riggs was a good casting choice for Peter Parker. The grotesque makeup at the end of the fan film makes this fan film worth a watch, even if you're not a Spider-Man fan. Uncle Ben is not killed by a gunshot. He's killed by the fangs of Man Spider. Being bitten by a radioactive spider would be pretty cool, unless you turn into a literal man spider. You know, being Spider-Man would be pretty cool, swinging around New York, fighting bad guys, fighting all these iconic villains. But if you actually turn into a literal man spider, that would be a downer. I wonder if 2099 from Across the Spider-Verse tried to recruit the man spider for the Spider Society. He probably looked at his makeup or probably just looked at his appearance and was like, nope, I'm good. Alright, that was me talking about the Spider. I figured I wanted to talk about something a little more indie, like, you know, because the Spider-Within, a Spider-Verse story, that was still made by Sony. So I wanted to talk about something a little bit different. And usually when I talk a lot about Spider-Man, it's all the mainstream stuff. So I wanted to give some love to the indie stuff. I'm Spider-ManChris, and I'll see you in the next one.